what's a good moral decision? What's the most evil decision I can make with regards to myself?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cultures that comment on this, but self-harm, for example.
Sure.
So anything that limits self-sabotage, anything that limits your own survival,
right,
it can be seen as evil, right? So in many ways, in the context of just a purely individualistic sense, evil can be defined as anything that, in my hypothesis, evil is anything that limits your ability to benefit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Self-sabotaging behavior like an addiction, or there's a whole list of things that you could be described as other amoral behavior, like betrayal. I think you had mentioned that before the podcast, breaking of trust with other people in your social network.
Yeah, and that sort of ties in with the whole notion of corruption that you had brought up in the previous episode, where we were talking about sort of the competence hierarchies and things like that.
Yeah, and I do think corruption can happen on many levels, and it can. At a fundamental level, regardless of whether it's a business or a political structure or anything like that, I think the most basic form of human social structure, it's just what we're doing right now, just having a social interaction with each other. We're philosophizing, we're talking, but
it's definitely, there's an exchange going on. There's a sort of an economy almost between us in terms of ideas, at least in this case.
Right. But we also have our own shared networks of people who are our friends and everything like that. So in many ways, that we kind of rely on that for our sense of survival. Mm-hmm. So any betrayal between individuals within that group will greatly diminish our chances of survival. Because if there's no trust, for example, between you or I or me or someone else in our group, then they'll be less likely to, rely on you or ask you for help. And then you won't be able to ask them for help maybe when you need it, that's also what's led to humans sort of ruling the planet in a large part. It's not because each individual human is necessarily the strongest. Like obviously there's apes that are stronger than us that could overpower us, but we've built up these social structures that allow us to operate as like a larger unit, almost like a larger organism that is humanity in a large sense. And that's given us extra power that we wouldn't individually have.